Next up, we have the East region. Duke, the number one overall or number one seed in this region. They get a play-in winner, Mount St. Mary's or American. That game, much like the Auburn game that we talked about in the Southern region, right? Not a ton here to really discuss. Mount St. Mary's came out of the MAAC as the 6 seed, took down the 4 seed Iona Gales. Shout out Tobin Anderson, heck of a run he had at Iona. Short-lived, but this is really just about Duke, right? Duke is one of the best teams in the country. They have been all year long. They've only gotten better. The only real storyline to monitor here is, like, is Cooper Flagg going to play in this game? My gut says probably not. Maybe they suit him, he warms up, and if they really need him, they'll play him. But I don't envision them needing to play him in this game regardless. They just beat UNC and Louisville in the ACC championship without him. So I envision Duke just letting Flagg rest until the weekend and let him suit up and play against the winner of Mississippi State and Baylor.
Yeah, they're not going to need him here. I think Duke just has way too much depth, and we talked about it with these other 1 seeds. Like, I don't think any of them are vulnerable. These are clear cut the best 4 teams in the country, and Duke is arguably the best of the 4. I mean, they've gotten so much better throughout the year. This is the best defense in the country. I mean, I know Flagg's a big loss, especially on the defensive end, and Malik Brown as well. Like, he's arguably their best defender to go along with Flagg, but there's just a ton of depth on this team. And I guess we don't really know if Brown's going to even come back this year. I mean, he dislocated his shoulder again. I think this is the 3rd time he's dislocated it this year. So I would kind of be surprised if he was able to come back. But these teams, American and Mount St. Mary's, they don't really move the needle in many areas. Like, looking at Mount St. Mary's, their turnover margin is ridiculously bad. I mean, they're 358th in turnover rate on the offensive end, and they don't really turn teams over. Like, that's typically a formula for these dogs, and a similar MAC team, MAC underdog that came through on a big run with St. Peter's, with Shaheen Holloway, and they were able to, win with their turnover margin. And that was just a really good defense in general. And I don't really think that's a comparable team here to Mount St. Mary's. That St. Peter's team is actually a legitimately good mid-major. They were ranked in the 150s in Torvik's rating pre-tournament. Mount St. Mary's 263, I believe, 263. Yeah. And then American out of the Patriot League, we finally see a team that's not Colgate. Colgate kind of ran this league for a while, but none of these teams really in that league profile all that well when it comes to trying to play up against these power conference teams that are super physical. The Patriot League teams, including American, are rather small and more offense and efficiency oriented on that end. And it's just going to be really tough to do that against Duke. So I see Duke, along with these other 1 seeds, being basically upset proof.
Yeah. And those Patriot League teams, especially Colgate, they've been super popular in the upset department in terms of picking, but it's never happened, right? I mean,
and it's never made sense to me.
Colgate hasn't won any of these games that they've been a 13 or 14. And I think they were maybe even a 15 one year, and people were all over trying to pick them as a big upset pick, but it was never really there. They might have hung around for I believe it was 2021. They hung around for a half. I think maybe it was Arkansas that they played or something. I forget.
They were up big on Arkansas. They were up 15 to start the
game. But ultimately, these teams in the Patriot League, it's the Patriot League. It's not a very strong league, and it just goes to show. I mean, the championship in that league was what, Navy and American. Not 2 powerhouse teams by any stretch. So, I don't expect either team, whoever wins that game in the play-in, to give Duke any trouble, regardless of who plays for Duke. I think Duke runs away with this one pretty comfortably right from the get-go.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I will say is like I think American has the better chance to compete. They're good on the defensive glass. They're 62nd nationally in defensive rebound rate, partly because there aren't many teams in the Patriot League that can get on the offensive glass or even try to get on the offensive glass. But they also play really slow. They're a bottom 15 team in the country when it comes to adjusted tempo, and they shoot a ton of threes. So I guess that's kind of a formula to at least get hot and hang around and limit possessions to maybe at least keep a game within 20. But I just think Duke is so good and so talented, and they have a ton of depth, and I think they can kind of name their number even without Flag or Malik Brown.
Yeah, for sure. So, much like all the rest of the one seeds, expect Duke here to win comfortably and move on to the second round.